How you doing, guys? Today we're back on the 857 project, and specifically working on the Magnum 10. Over the course of the last couple weeks I've been playing around with my senior, but I'm back onto the 857 project because I want to get this particular tractor done for the tractor shows, the local tractor shows, as well as the wheel horse show coming up in the end of June. And what has kind of transpired, like all of my projects, the original idea or the first video kind of tells you what I want to do, but I never finish the way I originally started the project. And this is a good example. I mean, the 857, I was just going to get a new transmission, put a, the motor, the original 8 horsepower Kohler engine ran great, perfect, charged, the whole 9 yards. But I had to go ahead and ruin all that by wanting to stick a bigger motor in the tractor. So here is the Magnum 10 update. In one of my other prior videos, I had indicated that I got a steel governor gear system instead of using the original plastic governor gear. So that's a little bit of an upgrade. Just makes the engine a little bit more, I guess, stout. I don't know, the pullers use these, I guess. But I got it cheap, as I indicated earlier. The next thing I got, which was this breather plate. Actually, I got the whole breather. The original Magnum has the rubber tube that goes from the breather plate to the intake, or to the back of the air filter assembly. Because that tube was broken, I said, well, I'll go ahead and find a new one for the Magnum 10. But I could find new tubes, those little rubber tubes, for the same price as just getting a 241, a K series breather. So that's what I did. So I'm not going to run the tube to the air box. Number one, it was the same price as, or average the same price as, just finding a standard to atmosphere breather plate. So that's what I did, and I think that's an upgrade, because then you're not putting crankcase gases into the carburetor, number one. Number two, I'm going to run the GT14 style intake on it, so it's not going to have the provision for the tube anyways. So I got it, glass beaded it, so I'm going to have a K series breather on the Magnum 10. Shouldn't be any issue there. As some of you know, if you've watched, I couldn't use the wide base Magnum oil pan on the 857 because it's real deep. So a viewer, again, good suggestion, thank you, said get one of the thin style oil pans, which I did. I nabbed this off of eBay, but there was a little bit of a problem with it, in the sense that this is just a standard for a K series block, and my Magnum is a wide base, I guess that's what they call it, and it has these notches in it. So if you just took this oil pan and bolted it on to the motor, you'd have these spaces. So this wasn't going to work the way it is. And again, a viewer, thank you, gave me the idea of making an adapter plate, and that's exactly what I did. My buddy works at has the ability to cut this stuff for me on a laser cutter. So what I did was I took the two gaskets, the wide body gasket for the Magnum and the gasket for the K series, and we blended them together in order to make this adapter plate. It's 1/8 inch steel. It's cut obviously to fit the two gaskets, so that way when it hangs over, but trust me, the holes line up. But you bolt this into place like this. These bolts, where the original Magnum bolts, oil pan bolts are, they would hold the plate in place. Then we take our oil pan like this, and we bolt that right onto the bottom of the motor. I use the two gaskets, torque it to spec, and we should be fine. So I really thank the viewers that suggested to go with the thin oil pan, and the viewer, if it is the same one or different, thank you very much for the idea to run the adapter plate, because that's really going to work out really mint. What I'm going to what else do I have? I think that's about it. I mean, yes. One of the other thing is, because I'm going to the thinner oil pan, the Magnum dipstick, actually just the dipstick itself, was too long, and I was going to cut it and make new marks and all this stuff. I just happened to be trolling through eBay, and here's a Cub Cadet thin oil pan dipstick, which is mint. It's perfect. I just glass beaded it the other day. I just need to clean it all. But, you know, the seal works real good. The bluing on the dipstick itself is perfect. So, and it clips in real nice, and it'll bolt right up to the Magnum 10. So I'll have the proper dipstick tube, nothing modified. So that really worked out nice. Got that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to loosely bolt the oil pan adapter plate to the bottom of the block, and ultimately I'm going to take it out to the shed, to the tractor, so we can start thinking about where the motor is actually going to sit on the frame. Okay, so let me bolt this up and I'll be right back. So after messing around for about 3/4 of an hour, I finally have the motor roughly where I want it sitting in the frame. Every time I put this motor into the frame, I find more and more issues trying to get it in there clean. You know, I don't want it to look hacked up, like I just shoved it in there to shove it in there. So the more I put it in and out, the more I find more issues. I think I'm getting to the point where I've kind of figured out where all the issues are, but it is an ongoing saga. As you can tell, hopefully, I have the adapter plate in place. As you can see, it's right here. I have it sandwiched between the small oil pan and the block. I may have to hog out the holes in the plate to line up with the Magnum base, because they're a little bit off, but I don't know. I might have to just hit them with a file, no big deal. As you can tell, the belt guard, the original 857 belt guard, will need to be modified to a little point because the crankshaft's in a different area. And what I'm thinking, high level right now, is I'm thinking I'm going to just kind of cut right along this edge, just below the curve, and just gently bend it up, you know, just a nice angle. I don't know if I'm going to go all the way back to this point, but I might bend it up so I can get it wider for the bigger pulley. I'll drill the spot welds out and I'll move it back so it lines up with the mounting hole. I'll have to do the same on the bottom. I'll have to cut this a little bit, maybe to wherever, I don't know, maybe to here, and then just bend that down. And then I'll fill the two areas in with a piece of sheet metal, real nice and clean, and then I'll just hit it with some Rudy metal primer, and it'll all blend in and it should look real nice. I did move the engine back. You can see that's the original mounting hole for the Kohler 181 motor, because I did want to get my GT14 intake, there it is, in place. So I'll show you that on the other side in a second. I did get, with the small oil pan and the adapter plate, I'd have more than enough room for the spark plug under the hood. So the hood is totally going to close naturally without any modification. That was a big thing. I just did not want to mess with the hood, so that way it would look as stock as possible. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close the doors, because it makes, I can't film from the other direction because it's so bright, just darkens everything up. So I'm going to close the doors and move on to the other side real quick. Okay, so from this angle you can see how basically this side of the tractor is going to look with the GT14 intake hanging out the outside of the hood. I think it looks good. I always like the look of the GT14 intake on these kinds of tractors. What we're also looking at is some interference with the blower cover. As you can tell, the hood has actually pushed the blower cover out. I'm going to get with, dear God, the junk I have. I can't wait to get rid of all this crap. As you can tell, it is if it'll focus, there we go. As you can tell, it is pulled away from the blower. The blower cover is pulled away from the bearing plate because it's being pushed on by the top. So I'm going to have to nibble the top off of this blower cover and just push it in a hair. It will be fine. It should clear. If I can get a view. It's too dark, sorry. The coil's right behind there, but what I'll do in a second is I'll pull the hood off it and the blower cover so we can take a look at the clearance. One thing I have noticed, which is going to be a problem, is the mounting bolts for this. You know what? Hang on. I'm going to pull the hood and the blower cover off so we can see this better. Okay, so from this view, obviously I took the bearing plate off and the hood is off, so we can take a closer look at how this is all going to work out. Essentially what I have here is the oil pan as far to this side as I possibly can. What I'm going to do, because of that, I don't have a whole lot of room to actually put like a standard bolt up in there, because the inside of the frame has like a little bit of an arc to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a big cap bolt, like a hex head, not a hex head, sorry, like an Allen head kind of bolt. So that way it's round. I can even machine it down if I need to make it a little bit smaller in order to fit this side of the oil pan. I think that's the cleanest way to do it without really modifying the frame or having this really weird. I would have liked to put like a pieces of threaded rod and then like a hook and then tighten the hook down, but I can't. And the reason why is this thing. The control bar or the footrest bar is in the way. I can't do that. So like I said, every single little aspect that I've worked on this tractor or getting this motor into this tractor has become a total pain in the ass. I mean, every idea that I come up with, I find a roadblock. But at this moment in time, I think that is going to be the best way to handle that. I might move the engine over just a hair and then just put the cap bolts up through the bottom. I will have to, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to see this. All right, so you can just barely see it right there. Actually, I can come in through this side maybe. Nope. Actually, right there. You can see it right there. There's like a red ring. That's the oil drain. So I will have to drill a hole in the frame for the oil drain. Not a big deal, but just something that will need to be done. So really, I'm going to drill like 5 holes into the frame to get this motor into the tractor. I don't think that's really that bad. I think that's actually quite easy. Most of the modifications are to the motor itself. So it's going to work out. It's just going to take a lot more than I anticipated to get this motor into the tractor. Oh, and don't mind the wheels and tires. Those are just standbys so I can roll it in and out of the garage. All right. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get, well, as you can tell, it won't stop snowing here. Average temperature is supposed to be like 45 to 48. It hasn't been over 30 degrees in the last like week and a half. We had a blizzard. Ridiculous. So that's what's kind of holding me up a little bit is the weather, because I need to clean the block, squeaky clean, the oil pan, everything in order to start putting it together. But once I start putting it together, it should go quick. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm moving forward as fast as I can. I got to get this done very quickly, or fairly quickly, I should say. And we'll have some fun. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.